What are your requirements for comparables for an investment property? Well, first off, comparables are sold properties that have sold within the same area, same date range, square footage, and those types of things are going to be comparables. And so what you're going to be looking at is, where can I take comparables from? Well, if you look over here, lots of places, you usually start with about a half mile. Sometimes you can go up to a mile. The closer, the better, as long as they're like for like properties. So you can see here's the subject property. This number 3 is over here. 1 and 2 are closer comparables. Number 4 looks like it's maybe in a little bit different a neighborhood. So you're talking about some natural boundaries here. And these ones seem to be in a completely different neighborhood, because that one is on the golf course and so is this one. So you're going to tend to see higher values with some of those things than you're going to see for these properties over here. But typically what you're going to be doing is you're going to be looking for a time frame. So I start by looking 6 months back, and then I'll go a year back. And then square footage, this is just here for 20% plus or minus, just to get an idea. Distance, I start a half mile, and I go up to a mile. Bedrooms and bathrooms, I pretty much leave that way. Property classifications, I always just do residential, and I'm looking at sold properties. And depending upon what you're looking for, obviously single family is what this one is, so that's what I'm going to kind of be doing here. And then I can just come over here and look what it's sold for. This is the subject property, so I'm seeing stuff from 290 to 344, depending upon where it is. Golf view. So you can see these ones over here are a little bit more expensive, and you can see 1 and 2 are a little bit less expensive, 290, 292, versus these ones over here that are in the 340s. So that's really what you're looking for, is square footage within about a 10 to 15% variance. You want to have it within a mile of the property. A half a mile is where I start, and then I go out to a mile if I have to. I look for the last 6 months, and if I have to, I go out for 12 months. But I'm looking to say, hey, what do I have here? Because I'm trying to compare like for like. I'm saying, what will my house look like and be like, and what is it most similar to of things that have actually sold? And that's the requirements. These requirements are established by FHA, because when you buy the property and resell the property, the most likely buyer is going to be getting an FHA loan, because it has the easiest loan to get, and it has the least amount of money that needs to come down, and they also allow the seller to pay for some of the closing costs. So most buyers are getting an FHA loan. So we want to make sure that we're using the same criteria that end buyer's lender is going to be using to establish value, because if we're looking at it differently, that can end up in a problem. So we use FHA standards. So if you ever want to know, there's a lot of stuff that goes into an FHA appraisal. But you can come here and say, what are the requirements? So you'll see here that FHA has all kinds of guidelines and how it works and everything else like that. And so this is what an appraiser has to use to make determination as to what the value is, and it has to meet within these guidelines. Now, you can spend the time and read these. How many hundreds of pages is this? 139 pages. Or you can use the simple version, which means you want to make sure your comps are as recent as possible. So I like to look within the last 6 months. And that's what FHA, I think they'll let you go no more than a year. I want to make sure that the property is a like property, like a comparable, because if I look at this neighborhood over here, this is a different neighborhood than this neighborhood is. So then I have to say, well, I don't know which one is probably the closer neighborhood in these when I'm selecting my comparables. So that's the next thing I'm going to look at. I'm going to look at how long ago it sold. I'm going to look at the distance. So I want it within 6 months, and to go to a year if I need to. Distance, I'm going to start at a half mile and go up to a mile if I have to. I want to make sure it's the same class: residential properties, single family, condo, because I want to be comparing like for like. Normally, I don't really look a lot on the square footage. I put some broad parameters in there, but like this property right here is 2,100 square feet. So it's like 20% more or less is kind of what we're doing, just to not get some of the properties that are just monsters that we may not want. So that gives you an idea of the requirements. They're requirements because of what FHA is going to require, and it really comes down to distance, and it comes down to how recently it sold, and then it's going to come down to the characteristics of the property, how the condition is versus others, the bedrooms and bathrooms, and then it's a comparison on that where you're looking and saying, hey, which one's worth more, this one or this one? And so that's what comparables are, and those are the requirements that you're looking for when it comes to comparables.